Here we go! The episode begins with the Starks arriving in King's Landing. Papa Stark walks into the throne room and Handsome Man in Armor is there. These two really hate each other. Handsome Man in Armor is so arrogant in these early seasons. Honestly, losing his hand makes him a much more lovable character. Handsome Man in Armor brings up that Papa Stark's brother and father died in this very throne room. Apparently, the Mad King killed them and Handsome Man in Armor was there when it happened. These two throw a lot of zingers at each other and then Papa Stark walks away. He walks into another room and Bald Guy greets him. Rat Assistant, Old Kinky Chains, and Short King are there too. Apparently, this is Papa Stark's first time meeting Rat Assistant, and Rat Assistant says that Papa Stark's brother nearly killed him in a fight over Mama Stark? What? I know that Rat Assistant has the hots for Mama Stark, but why did Papa Stark's brother fight Rat Assistant over Mama Stark? Does Papa Stark's brother also have the hots for Mama Stark? Does everybody have the hots for Mama Stark? Do I have the hots for Mama Stark? Mama Stark. Ooh, Mama Stark. Oh, Mama Stark. They all sit down and discuss this tournament that we see in episode 4. Rat Assistant tells Papa Stark that the crown is super in debt, and Papa Stark is like, what are we? Every American who went to college? We cut to Short-Haired Queen bandaging Jeffrey's wolf bite. Short-Haired Queen is an insane person. She's telling Jeffrey to believe he killed the wolf on his own and spared young sad girl because Chubby King likes Papa Stark. Jeffrey is like, I'm telling you, all I did was scream. And Short-Haired Queen says that because he's going to be the king, the truth is whatever he wants it to be. This logic hits a little too close to home. This scene actually makes me feel kind of bad for Jeffrey. I know that's weird for me to say, but it's true. Short-Haired Queen kind of brainwashed him into becoming this monster of a child. Whoa! Then these two just start describing exactly what is going to happen in later seasons of the show. Jeffrey says he's going to have a Warden of the North take Winterfell, and Short-Haired Queen warns him that the Northerners will rebel and take it back, which is exactly what happens in season 6. We cut to young sad girl stabbing her food and saying she's going to stab Jeffrey. Papa Stark walks in and tells young sad girl to go to her room. He gives Red-Haired Queen a package, and she opens it and it's a freaky looking doll. Dolls freak me out. I'd throw that thing out the window. Red-Haired Queen is like, I don't like dolls, and she walks away. Papa Stark is having a heck of a time with his daughters. He goes into young sad girl's room and sees her sword. He tells her that ladies shouldn't play with swords, but also she's like a 9-year-old kid. No 9-year-old kid should be playing with weapons at all. If my bastard son gave my 9-year-old son or daughter a gun, I would take that gun away. We cut to Weird Raven Kid laying in bed. This old crocheting woman starts telling him a story about people freezing to death and zombies. You know, the kind of a story you tell a small child. Weird Raven Kid is clearly freaked out. This is like when I watched The Exorcist when I was 10 years old and couldn't sleep for 4 days. Sexy jawline guy walks in and the old crocheting lady walks away, probably to go tell a newborn baby about the devil. Weird Raven Kid says that he still doesn't remember anything, and he goes on to say that he'd rather be dead than paralyzed. We cut to Mama Stark riding into King's Landing with sideburn ponytail. She's here to warn Papa Stark because she thinks the Lannisters tried to kill Weird Raven Kid in episode 2. Some guards escort her to Rat Assistant's brothel, and she gets mad because she thinks she's above brothels. Don't be so judgy, Mama Stark. A lot of these women working in the brothel are just paying their way through college. Rat Assistant says that Bald Guy told him that she was coming, and Bald Guy makes a grand entrance into the room through some beads. Bald Guy knows about the dagger because he has spies everywhere. He looks at the dagger, but he doesn't know who it belongs to. But Rat Assistant does. Rat Assistant says the dagger was his, but he lost it in a bet against Peter Dinklage. Aha! That's why Mama Stark arrests him in episode 4. We cut to the wall and Bastard King is just destroying everyone that he spars with. Peter Dinklage is talking to the man with the groomed beard that gives Bastard King a sword in episode 9. Groombeard gives Bastard King a letter, and then we cut to Old Kinky Chains giving Papa Stark a letter. Is it the same letter? Rat Assistant walks in and tells Papa Stark that Mama Stark is here, and then he walks away. Is somebody gonna tell me what that letter says? I bet it's a letter that says that Weird Raven Kid woke up. Rat Assistant is leading Papa Stark into his brothel, and Papa Stark starts choking him because he thinks Rat Assistant is playing a prank on him. But then Mama Stark sticks her head out of the window and Papa Stark lets go. Then Rat Assistant says to himself, ah, the Starks. Quick tempers, slow minds. Who talks to themselves like that? Nobody does. You're so right, Steve. Nobody talks to themselves in real life. That's just a silly thing that happens in TV shows. We cut back to the wall and these guys are mad that Bastard King beat them up earlier. They grab him and hold a sword up to his neck, and then Peter Dinklage walks in and threatens to have his sister beat them up. Bastard King is upset that everyone hates him because he's better than them. And Peter Dinklage is like, yeah, you were trained how to fight in a castle. These guys don't even know what they're doing. Then he hands Bastard King the letter and says that Weird Raven Kid woke up. I got it. We cut to Short-Haired Queen yelling at Handsome Man in Armor for pushing Weird Raven Kid out the window. A little late to be mad about that now. Handsome Man in Armor is really really in love with his sister in season 1. He says he'll kill anyone who gets in the way of their romance. We cut outside to Mama Stark and Papa Stark saying goodbye. They make out and Sideburn Ponytail watches them attentively from the distance. We cut again, this time to Chubby King telling Grey-Haired Man about the first time he killed somebody. Grey-Haired Man is with Legolas Queen in the later seasons, so I wonder when he ditches these idiots in King's Landing. Chubby King, like many of us, is absolutely miserable with his life. Short-Haired Queen's cousin that she bangs is here serving him wine, and Chubby King yells at him. Short-Haired Queen's cousin walks away thinking, "I'll show you. Nobody yells at me. I'm gonna pork your wife." Chubby King calls for Handsome Man in Armor to come hang out, and Grey-Haired Man is friends with Handsome Man in Armor. They both served under the Mad King, which is probably why Grey-Haired Man goes and joins Legolas Queen. We cut to Legolas Queen riding with Scarguy and a bunch of muscular long-haired men. Scarguy is telling Legolas Queen about the slaves that the muscular long-haired men have, and Legolas Queen tells everyone to stop. She jumps off her horse and walks into the bushes. And then Legolas King shows up. Oh yeah, he's still alive, isn't he? He puts his hand around Legolas Queen's throat, and then one of the muscular long-haired men whips him to the ground. The muscular long-haired man asks Legolas Queen if she wants him to kill Legolas King, and she says, "No, I'll just have my boyfriend do it later." Legolas King gets released, and he tells Scarguy to kill the muscular long-haired man, and Scarguy just ignores him like I ignore the nutrition facts on food. We cut to Bastard King going up an elevator to the top of the wall. He walks along until he finds his uncle. His uncle tells him that he's leaving to investigate some disturbing reports beyond the wall. Bastard King wants to go, but his uncle won't let him. He tells him that they'll speak again when he returns, but I don't think he ever does return. He just hangs out beyond the wall waiting to save people's lives out of nowhere. We cut to Legolas Queen trying to learn the muscular long-haired men's language while getting her hair did. Then the lady doing her hair grabs her boob. Legolas Queen better give her a good tip. The hairdresser asks Legolas Queen when the last time she had her period was, and Legolas Queen is like, "Oh, you know what? It's actually been a while. I must be pregnant." We cut to Scarguy talking to this muscular long-haired man about weapons and armor. Then the hairdresser walks in and tells them that Legolas Queen is pregnant. Scarguy says he needs to ride somewhere, probably to go cry because his crush got knocked up by a more handsome guy. We cut back to the wall and Bastard King is sparring these guys again, but this time they don't seem to hate him. He's teaching them how to fight because apparently Tiny Eyes is on vacation or something. We cut to Peter Dinklage talking to Old Blind Man and Groombeard. They're telling him that wildlings are fleeing on account of zombies. Old Blind Man goes on to say that the Night's Watch is struggling and they ask Peter Dinklage to send help from King's Landing. We then see Peter Dinklage peeing off the top of the wall, and like all men, he probably still manages to miss. Peter Dinklage says goodbye to Bastard King and they shake hands. Gross! Peter Dinklage didn't even wash his hands. We cut to young sad girl at her first sword fighting lesson with Afro Indigo Montoya. He seems like kind of a Looney Tune, but apparently he's a really great fighter. Papa Stark shows up to watch, and while he watches, he seems to have some sort of a PTSD attack and he hears a battle in his head. He looks super scared, and then the episode ends. Well, that was a weird way to end an otherwise positive episode. That episode felt like a history lesson to me. There was a ton of backstory and like no action. I've also seen the episode before this and the episode after this, so the whole time I watched this episode, I was like, have I already seen this? This episode was also super long. Or maybe it just felt super long because it's midnight right now and I want to go to sleep. Either way, I'm just gonna complain about it. All that being said, it was still a pretty good episode. Season 1 typically has some of the best writing in the whole show, so I really enjoy watching these early episodes. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. Let's reach into these boxes and see which episode I'm gonna watch next. Season 5, Episode 1. Season 1, Episode 10. Season 2, Episode 10. Season 6, Episode 8. And last but not least, Season 4, Episode 3. So those are the options for which episode I'm gonna watch next. There should be a poll right here, a little box. Go ahead and click on that and vote for which episode you'd like me to watch. Here's a graphic to show you which episodes I've already seen to help you make your decision. Some of you have been really nice to me and have supported me on Patreon, so it's magic. That was not worth it. Anyways, here's some shoutouts. Red Claw. That's not your real name, unless you're a lobster, which would explain why you paid me in clams. Is that what lobsters eat? Anyways, thank you so much, Red Claw. Tomas. Tomas? I coached Tomas's improv team like 2 years ago. Tomas is a really funny, good dude, so thank you so much, Tomas, for supporting me on Patreon. I miss you and I hope you're doing well. Erica. Just the first name, Erica. Do you guys think that when they were naming America, some guy was like, Erica, Do you think that he said and then he wanted to actually name it Erica? Am I the first person to make this joke? This feels like a really obvious joke. Anyways, Erica, thank you so much for the support. Max Wilhelm Gilbert. Wilhelm, isn't that the name of that really famous scream? So how about this? Max Gilbert. Did I edit it in correctly? I guess I won't know until I do this. Thank you so much for the support, Max. If you want to support me on Patreon, I'm putting a link in the description below and a button at the end of the video. Go ahead and click on that button or that link and check out my Patreon page. You could even have your name read at the end of one of these famous videos. You'll become famous. All of your friends will be jealous of you. They'll wonder, hey, how do I become famous like my friend? And you can tell them, they just need to give me $5 a month, and then I'll say their name at the end of my video. And then their friends will say, oh, how did you get so famous? And then they can tell. Also, not sure if you guys noticed, but the set's a little bit different today. I tried to make it look somewhat the same, but my old boss, this is my old office, my old boss moved some stuff around, so it looks a little different. Don't know if it's permanent. I hope it's not too distracting. Let me know if you hate it. Okay, bye.